Everyone, it's your favorite FGC VTuber, and I forgot the chibi, or the whatever, doesn't matter. Anyways, so I wanted to cover for some of you who might thought that don't want to get into the Armored Core series because the building looks too complicated, and we're going to cover why specifically. It's not as complicated as you think it is, and I can break it down to one thing. So, let's break down overall how building works. It's not quite like an RPG. You have your stats. You have to actually focus on the individual parts, and those parts go from this order: head, arms, body, and legs, right? Those are the parts we're building. But all you need to know is that the base, we start with the legs. The legs are everything. What you need to know is the most important thing to focus on is your weight. And the way you can focus on your weight, it will be different. And this is, by the way, general overall Armored Core video, and this is more specifically for 6. But why I say you always focus on the legs, number one and foremost, is you see the weight. Down there at the bottom, it says leg weight. It's legs WP, or it will say it in there, right? You'll somewhere in the stats for every Armored Core, you'll have your leg weight. That's your number one important feature. You always pay attention. On the right shows you what your max limit is, right? On the left is your current weight. That is what that specifically means, right? And why I say you focus on the legs first is you realize, okay, what are my legs potential at? And then you see how close am I to getting those legs, or to getting to that maximum weight. And then you can realize, okay, then I can invest in heavier parts or this or that, right? It can be a bit hard to check on, but a good example, this happened to me, right? Once I realized, you want to see how, if you know in the future you're going to get probably heavier weapons, you may want to invest into heavier legs, right? Do know that the lighter your legs are, the faster you are generally. Sometimes some legs can actually be really fast. Like a leg could be, like, good example, this is actually like tank legs. I made a whole video about tank legs, check those out. But the weight for this one isn't that much actually, like 3,636. And its speed is actually pretty good, almost 400. That's really good. That's not always the case. But the thing about weight is you can be more mobile, like moving left, right, up, down, but your weight always overall values when you're trying to boost and stuff. Now, getting back specifically to looking at your leg weight things, you can keep what you have. I had this, right? These are the legs I was equipped. I didn't have anything in my back weapon, right? Like say I didn't have this on, you know, this wasn't equipped, you know, equipment incomplete. Yeah, don't ignore that. Right now it's just because I have something missing. But I was like, okay, you see my weight, oh, 467, and then I was like, oh, I got a new blade, right? I had this blade, you know, you guys can see 487, and then I went to this blade. It's like, you see how it's right there, 5289, but in reality, I always have back equipment. So look at that, I was like, oh, 591. If you want to see what your weight is, like, oh, whatever. I had lighter legs before, but I got a slightly heavier weapon, and then I switched. Okay, cool, I know. And you have to balance, like, first test it out, right? Like, they should let you be able to test your weapons. Take out, like, this is why I always say, like, you even have right now for me, for legs, when you get the luxury, you have heavy legs just to mess around and see how the weapon works, and then you can just switch back. But more importantly, what I want to get at is, once you first get a feel for your weapon, test it out, whatever it is, you can test out parts too, I believe. This is in Armored Core 4, and see if you really like it, and then be like, do I really like to stick with the current legs I have because of their speed? Or am I really going to commit to, like, I don't like being underweight, so I'm going to ditch, you know, just completely sell them, right? And then, oh, boom, I have new legs, right? Sometimes it's a balance of where you want to weight it. All right, next attribute you should focus on, besides weight, is, we mentioned a bit before, is mobility. That's what you want to look at, right? You want to mainly just look at legs weight. Ignore core weight, you know, all that, like, ignore all that crap. But the next one is, you guys see, mobility. That's the next stat you want to look at. You can also look at an in-depth one. And from there, for me personally, I love having good turning speed. See right there, the turning speed is 508. That's something that I personally focus on, right? But overall, find out if you like something slow or fast, and then that can be an indicator. And then once you get really used to see, what's like, you know, if say you're trying to do PvP, turning speed is really fucking important, right? Like, it's this overall Armored Core, and it's gonna change for 6. Who knows what 6 will have? But my main thing is obviously like speed and weight, right? So say when you're looking for parts, the main thing I always look at, okay, I don't look at the weight first. I look at maximum weight. Remember, if you need more weight to carry more weapons, maximum weight. But then you want to see, oh, okay, where is how mobile do I want to be? You look at weight. Like, okay, how heavy it is. Like, if you like a lot of jumping air mobility, look at weight. You want side and running speed, look at like I said, moving ability, bottom left, to generalize it. But if you want to be specific, go look at the stats, you know, and there you go. And then the last stat you should definitely be focusing on, like, I would say, is armor points. Like, or I would say the last two would be like armor points. Maybe you like having, maybe if you're focused, oh, I want to have Remember, these stats are all different. Let's say you have fairly decent weapons, they're okay, they're not very heavy, and you don't mind your tank being a bit slow or whatever, but you can't stand having shit armor. And then you go right there, it says armor points, and then also defensive points. They're not quite the same. So armor points is literally just your health. Defensive points is how many shells you can take. Like, and there are two types. Again, this is when you get specific. If you want to, basically in short, if you just need more health, armor points. But if you want to take less damage, defensive points. See, as you can see, the defensive points for this are not very good. So what that means is, yeah, you have a lot of health, but you're squishy, and you can have, say, something like this legs. No, they can both go down, right? But there are light legs that actually have really good defensive points. But if you want to be specific, go to your in-depth specs, and there's defensive shell, energy shell, and it could vary on the mission or opponent you're facing. Say if your opponent has a lot of like rocket launchers and LMGs, machine guns, you want shells. Shells are bullets and stuff. Energy is like plasma and all that other kind of stuff. And your overall will be B right here, right? Like it puts it all together, defensive points, right? But if you want a specific one might have like, say, 1,000 defensive shell, but like 500. And I guess the last one, to a bit of note that doesn't come into play, this happened to me when I had these legs and I started adding more parts. It gave me a warning like, oh, AP is not sufficient. That's why it says EEP output. But you normally don't have to worry about this too much. That's like core and all that other crap, right? If you never core weight, look at that, pay attention to that, and then from there, whatever, right? Depending on what your speed is. And then of course, as I mentioned before, look at your moving ability. That's a really important attribute mainly for legs. But again, remember, maximum weight, pay attention to that, then everything else, start looking at weight and armor points. Okay, do you want to say, this one's a bit heavier, but it has a lot of armor points, right? Like a lot of health. Or, oh, this one weighs a lot less, but doesn't have that many armor points, but it has really great defensive points, right? So then there you go, you get the best of both worlds. You like right now I have a core and arms and a head that don't weigh that much, but have really decent defensive points, right? Because again, normally I rock this, but when I want to carry this to have a lot of ammo, and like I said, I'm barely above it. See, 6101, right? I'm barely 600 above. So I have this for like my other missions. I don't need the mobility that much, right? That's why I have tank legs. But I get rid of some stuff, change my weaponry. I can be extremely mobile for PvP in the arena, and I'm golden, right? That's why I have this set up here. But I can do this because I have everything set up meticulously. And then, like I said, last one, only pay attention to EP output. Like I said, oh, I had this warning, like you do not have enough. All I really did is just went in and just bought a new, like, let me see if we can find it. Like just a new generator, and then from there, your generator should be kind of the last thing you focus on, because let that fit what your needs are, right? Like I would say it's in this important order, right? Focus on legs first, then like I would say core, and then from there like head, and then arms. Arms would be your last thing to focus. Well, more so like it'd be core, weapon, remember, legs, max weight, the weight of everything else. Look at their armor points, most importantly defensive points, and then the sky's the limit. Hopefully I did a decent job explaining. Like I said, I think I might have to edit, and then like I said, just so you can only, okay, whatever, right? Because that's what I look for, and then everything else once I start getting used to it, right? Because it's a lot of numbers and shit to get used to. And yeah, that's about it. That's what you should really be focusing on, and you'll be golden, right? For the beginning, then of course you'll adjust once you see things go on. But for the beginning, that's all you need to focus on. Leg pick, did you find that useful? Put it in the video. I'm gonna edit the shit out of this one too. You're funny.